Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday. It is the 20th day of July 2022. I hope that you and your family are healthy and safe today. I hope that you and your family are healthy and safe, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food and shelter and clothing, as well as health, are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and those who are the first responders, trying every day to save lives, and those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks and parks and highways clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. And double blessings upon the men and women trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the victims, the children, and the teenagers who are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia, and the victims also of prostitution and child prostitution, of pornography and child pornography, of human trafficking and sex slavery, and double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and those perverts who traffic in this human misery. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children in the United States on the streets, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions, and blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. And if you could help, please do so. Today, I want to talk about mainly the concerns that many of us have about the defense with the possibility of the addition of Donovan Mitchell. I am feeling more strong about the Knicks acquiring Donovan Mitchell. And so I want to discuss, which we all had, I had concerns about it. I mentioned it in videos, 2 6'1" guards, in the backcourt, and the defensive liability that can create. And so we're going to talk about that and deal with it as I'm looking at it closely and analyzing both players. I don't think it's as bad as we think it's going to be. We had legitimate concerns because of their height and lack of length, but I don't think it's as bad as we think it's going to be. So we'll talk about that. But before I do, I wanted to go into a couple things. Number one, the press conference yesterday with Jalen Brunson. There are players that they give off an aura. It's sometimes like there's an aura of confidence, like with Michael Jordan, there's an aura of confidence, like regardless of who you are, he's going to destroy you. He always had that aura. Or with Magic Johnson, there was also an aura of confidence, like I like you, you're cool, I can laugh with you, but when we get on the court, you're going to have a problem. Well, with Jalen Brunson, there was an aura. It's an aura that's telling you, don't bet against me. I'm going to show you. I'm tough. I'm a leader. That all came through in the press conference. And if you didn't see it or know it on the floor before, it came through in the press conference. It was an interesting press conference in that regard. He did mention that it was family that brought him there. It was his father, and he remembers Thibodeau from when he was little. He remembers Leon Rose because Leon Rose is his father's agent. And the thing is about Rick Brunson, his father, is Rick Brunson was never a big time player. Played at Temple, scraped and fought getting the league. And he wasn't one of them players that would make an agent a lot of money. There were agents trying to get started, and they would try to get a player like Brunson to get their career started. They wouldn't make any money. They'd probably lose money on a guy like a Brunson. So Leon, one of his first clients was Rick Brunson. So they go back, a long way. And so Jalen, their family, and it was interesting dynamic. If you go back and look at the press conference, what I caught was the dynamic between Rose and Brunson, Leon Rose and Brunson, and Thibodeau and Brunson. It's two different dynamics. I don't really for example, when Rose saw him, when he finished speaking and Rose came up to the dais and met him there. Rose dapping him up. Rose was smiling. He was hugging him. It was like a welcome home fam type of moment, when Rose came. But when Tibbs came, Tibbs was on the podium, standing a few feet from Jalen Brunson and didn't come up to him. And Brunson looked and almost acknowledged the respect he has. He has a deep respect for Thibodeau, but Thibodeau wasn't giving him no dap. wasn't hyped up. Thibodeau only smiled when they came together for a picture. But if you watch after the picture, he separated immediately. I'm not saying he don't like Brunson. I'm saying he's already letting Brunson know, we got work to do. This is not going to be easy. And I'm not going to be easy on you. He's letting him know that, like, now, so that was interesting. I found that to be interesting yesterday. Also, the thing I wanted to mention was, what I wanted y'all to understand is, okay, about the trade. Let's talk about the trade. It's either, like people understand now, it's either a Utah Knicks trade or it's a 3-team trade with the Lakers. Okay. Stein reported, and some of y'all just don't want to believe the report. That's your choice. But he reported that the Knicks are looking to trade Julius Randle to the Lakers if they land Donovan Mitchell, which I'm feeling stronger and stronger about as the days go by, about them landing Mitchell, I mean. And so you have to understand, for that to be a possibility, some of y'all talking about, somebody actually said the Lakers don't want him. That's not true. That's an untruth. For them to be considering trading him to the Lakers are interested in him. And in fact, the pecking order is they want Kyrie Irving. If they can't get Irving, Julius is the backup plan. He's plan B for the Lakers. So they do want him. And he wants them because he has a 15% trade kicker. It wouldn't even be talked about. He would exercise the trade kicker to stop it from happening, or try to exercise his right to try not to be traded there. And Ian Begley already reported that Leon Rose, Worldwide West, and Randall have an understanding that if they were to trade him, it would be to a place that he wanted to go. So apparently he likes LA and he was there. So all this about Randall don't want to go there or the Lakers don't want him, that's falsehood. The Lakers are interested in Julius Randle. Okay. That's number one. Number two, I need y'all to understand, because apparently a lot of y'all get it. And I'm praising y'all in Knicks Nation because a lot of y'all get it, but there's some of y'all that just don't get it. I don't know if you're not used to listening or the numbers bother you, but because of the numbers, okay, because of the numbers, if you're going to just work with Utah, let's just go one at a time. If you're going to work with Utah, Evan Fournier must be in the trade because of his salary. Otherwise, it won't work. Either if you're the Knicks and you're intent on only sending Utah a total of 3 players, Evan Fournier is going to be one of them. You must include Cam Reddish because of his salary. And then you have a choice between Emmanuel Quickley or Deuce McBride, depending on who Utah wants and who New York doesn't mind giving up. But that's the deal. You have to have Evan Fournier in the trade, and you must have Cam Reddish. This ain't about, I want Cam for his future. Cam got upside. We need to give him a chance. It ain't about that. It's the money. You're trying to get Donovan Mitchell. That's the object here. So you must include Cam Reddish because of his almost $6 million salary. That's why if it's a Utah Knicks straight up, Fournier is going, Cam is going. And then what you got to decide is, if you're the Knicks and the Utah, aside from the picks, you're going to decide between Deuce McBride and Emmanuel Quickley, because the deal works with either of them. Okay. Now this is irrelevant. Y'all talking about they're going to get Grimes. If they're going to get Grimes, they have to send a total of 4 players there, because Grimes' salary doesn't work. Number one. And I cannot see the Knicks giving up 2 wings. They'll give up a wing and a point guard so they can keep a wing and a point guard. They're not going to give up 2 wings. Okay. Wings are very important in the NBA. So Grimes is a wing and Cam's a wing. Grimes makes $2.2 million. Cam makes $6 million. Okay. Another one, y'all was saying, well, Danny ain't the one that have to pay Cam. They don't have to pay Cam. See, y'all, they don't have to pay Cam. RJ's in a different situation than Cam. RJ's getting extended. There's a question as to whether Cam is going to get extended. He's got to prove himself this year. They could offer him the qualifying offer. They could let him walk for nothing. They could trade him. He's basically an expiring contract. That's what y'all got to understand. RJ's not an expiring contract. Cam is. So you need his $6 million and his expiring contract. Okay. So Cam has got to be in the deal, in the Utah deal, regardless. Okay. And so does Fournier. All right. So both of them got to go. If you're going to deal with, if you're getting Donovan Mitchell, I can guarantee you both of them players are going to Utah. Now, again, the only question is it Deuce or is it Emmanuel Quickly? Y'all know I prefer Deuce stay with the Knicks, but that's not up to me. And I'm just telling y'all that's the deal. Business wise, that's the only way it's going to work. And if you look at the trade machine, that's the situation. Now, if it's a 3-team deal with the Knicks, the Lakers, and the Jazz, not only does Fournier have to be in the deal for the money, not only does Cam have to be in the deal for the money, but now Rose has to be in the deal for the money. All three of them have to be in the deal. Okay. And then again, you have a choice between Quick and Deuce, but all three of them dudes, Rose, Fournier, and Cam, because of their salaries, they must be in the deal. They have to be. I mean, just to make the money work. Okay. And then, cause now if in a 3-team deal, you're putting Randall in there, right? So all y'all talking about, I'd rather keep so-and-so and no, that ain't got nothing to do with this. The only questions are twofold. Who you putting in the deal between Emmanuel Quickly and Deuce McBride? That's it. And how many picks you giving them? Those are the only two questions. Who is involved with the deal is academic at this point because of the numbers. You're trying to bring back Donovan Mitchell. Remember, the goal is Donovan Mitchell. So your guys are telling me you don't want to trade Cam because you don't want, for Donovan. I'm saying, like, they're going after Donovan Mitchell. So they're going to give up Cam Reddish. I know they did a first rounder for him, but if it's going to end up with Donovan Mitchell, they'll do it. Okay. So let me just review this again for some of y'all that might be a little slower. If the Knicks deal directly with Utah, Fournier and Cam are gone. The only question is it Deuce or is it IQ? That's the only question. Is that third player, Deuce or IQ? And then how many picks they give up. If it's a 3-team deal and you're involving Randall, Rose must be included with the other players I just named. Rose must be included because of his $14 million expiring salary. Has to be included. And let me get this third point for some of you that still ain't getting this. Westbrook is not going to play for the Knicks. He's not going to be a 6th man. He's not going to be in the rotation. He's not going to be on the team. Westbrook is strictly for his salary. He will be immediately bought out and waived. Okay, some of you are thinking, well, Westbrook can play for us. No, Westbrook is not playing for us. The trade value for him is the $47 million because that RJ's new salary starts in 2023, 2024. And the Westbrook salary comes off the Knicks books then. That's what this salary is for. So now you sign RJ, you're going to sign him for what? 26, 27. You know how the Don is doing it. It starts at the high and goes down. So it might be 26, 27 to start off. And then it goes down. And now you had that 47 million off your books from Westbrook. And then the following year, you got to deal with Obi. Obi's going to be extended the following season. So Don is thinking ahead. That's what I'm saying. And some of y'all still thinking about NBA 2K and how does Westbrook fit in the lineup. He's not playing for the Knicks. Okay. That's not what we're getting him for. Okay. Period. End of story. But just again, Fournier and Cam must be included in any deal because of their money. And if it's a 3-team deal, Rose must be included. The only question is it IQ or is it Deuce that's going with whoever in a 3-team deal or a 2-team deal? One of them is going. I don't know which one. One of them is going. Grimes is safe. And the reason he's safe because his salary's too low and he's a wing. Okay. So him and Cam are wings. This wing is 2.2 million. This wing is 6 million. Look, go on the NBA trade and the trade machine and try it. It does not work with Grimes. It doesn't work unless you're giving them Grimes, Obi. Obi works. If you put Obi's salary in there instead of Cam, it works. But I'm telling you right now, Obi's off the table. Especially if they talking about trading Randall. Obi's off the table. If you put Obi in the trade, you don't have to put Cam in the trade because they make about the same money. So if you put Obi in there, you can send Obi and Grimes and Deuce or IQ. That'll work with Fournier. But I'm telling you right now, Obi ain't going nowhere. He's off the table. Okay. So now that leaves you with Cam. They have the same money. All right. So Cam is going, Fournier is going. There's no question. If a deal is getting done between Jazz and New York, or the Jazz New York and the Lakers, Fournier is going. Period. And so is Cam. Period. That's happening. Okay, I'm sorry. That's the way it's going. They need that money. The salary has to work. And if it's a three-way deal with the Lakers, Derrick Rose is going too. Derrick Rose is going. Randall's going. Fournier's going. Cam is going. And now again, you're going to have to make a choice between Emmanuel Quickley and Deuce McBride. And some of you are thinking because Quickley's been hanging out with Donovan Mitchell, what, you think Leon Rose cares about that? You think Danny Ainge cares about that? Or Obi Toppin and IQ are good friends? You think these guys care about that when they're making these management decisions? Come on, y'all. This ain't high school, man. So anyway, I just wanted to discuss that. Now, let's talk about the defense. I did have, and a lot of you had concerns. 2 6'1" point guards. You know, that don't sound good at all. Now, let's talk about real quick defense in today's NBA. Now, back in the day, like in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s, in the early 2000s, even when Camby and Spree and them was playing, the NBA was way more physical. Like it was a physical. So part of the defense was being physical. So like if you had a dude like a Camby, he was a liability in the sense that he was skinny and he couldn't play 82 games because the game was too physical. Okay. It was very physical. And so aside from the ability to move quickly and to have length, we're going to talk about that. You needed to be a little stronger because it was a physical game, particularly underneath the basket, very physical. But the rules have changed. Okay. The rules have changed drastically in the NBA. So that good defense today consists of speed, quickness, and length. That's what makes defense today. Speed, quickness, and length. You got to be able to cover ground quickly. Short, feet here, inches there, but you got to do it very quickly. And you got to be able to get from one side of the court to the other very quickly for rotations. And if you have length, you'll be able to be more of an obstruction to a shooter, right? So let's look at the Knicks in Tom Thibodeau's first year. They had Elfrid Payton at 6'4" at the point guard. That's why he wanted length at the point guard, because even though Elfrid Payton was a liability offensively, he was a tremendous defensive player. We were number one in the league in defense because he had length. He could cover ground. He was really good on defense. And then you have Reggie Bullock beside him at the 2 spot. And Reggie Bullock, 6'7", he was long, not very mobile offensively, but defensively, he can get from one point to another. And he had the length to be an obstruction and he had the quickness to rotate. And that's what made us, among other things, the number one defense in the NBA that year. Go to the second year. We lose Reggie Bullock. And then eventually at the end of the day, after all of the rotation at the point guard, you end up with Burks at the point guard. Why? Because he was 6'6". Okay. 6'6", he had length. He was not a good defender. He did not move his feet or his hips very well to cover ground on the defensive end very well. Okay. Then you have Fournier next to him, and Fournier tries, but he's a terrible defender. He just has no athleticism for speed or quickness on the floor. Okay. And those are very important. So that brings us to Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson. Say what you want about Brunson. Yes, he's small. Yes, he doesn't have length, but he scrambles like a squirrel. You ever hear Tom Thibodeau when he talked about, like, after a win, when the Knicks, did play good defense after a game, he would say they were flying all over. You ever hear him say that? He said they're flying all over the place. They were flying all over the place. That's what he's meaning. They're scrambling. I call it scrambling like squirrels for nuts, man. When you see squirrels scrambling in the park, that's how defenses play. You got to be able to scramble. You got to be able to get from one side to the other on a rotation fast. You got to be able to stay in front of your man. You got to be able to recover quickly, right? And then if you have length, that's another deterrent. That's what we're missing. We're missing the length from those 2 spots if we have Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson. But we got the quickness. We got the speed. We got the ability to scramble from one side of the court to the other. And I believe both of those cats will be able to stay in front of their man. They both will. Okay. And so it's not going to be as bad as we think it is. Okay, I don't think it's going to be as bad as we think it is. And then you still, when you have Mitchell-Robinson behind him, and if Obi Toppin is starting at the 4, you got length. Okay, you got length on under the basket. RJ's pretty, he's like 6'7", 6'6". He's a pretty tall kid, and he's strong, and so he gives his all, and he plays really good defense when he's giving his all. He just took on the challenge last year of trying to guard the best players, and he was getting toasted a lot. But that's because he took on that challenge. But that just shows you the type of attitude he has. So it's good. So I'm saying, I don't think we're going to be as bad as people think. And if we get to keep a Deuce McBride and a Quentin Grimes, that's more defense coming off the bench, along with Jericho Sims. I don't know what kind of defender Hartenstein is. And then hopefully the Knicks are going to pick up some defenders off the wires and see if we can get vet minimum or get somebody like a Justin Holiday. He's an excellent defender. If we can get a guy like that on a mid-level exception, that will work tremendously for us because he's a defender. He's long. He defends at a high level. So guys like that, or we can give Josh Jackson a shot. He does too. He's younger. But under Tom Thibodeau, I think he would do a lot better coming off our bench. So guys like that. I know a lot of y'all fans of Melo. All of us love Melo. Melo cannot defend at a high level. I know y'all fans, you want to see Melo retired, blah, 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 but y'all going to be the same people booing and boo-hooing when he getting beat off the dribble. Okay? I'm not saying we shouldn't sign him, but I don't want to depend on him for defense. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to depend on him for defense. Okay, a lot of your fans, and I get it. That's sports. You got your favorite players. Everybody does. And you want to see them succeed. And you like to see them retire Knicks jersey. Hey, I do too. But I'm talking about functional ability here. Okay, he does not defend well. He didn't defend well even in his prime. But now, he really can't. And so, he's a step slow. And so it'd be hard for him. Maybe against second units, he might be better, at the 4. We'll see. Like I said, I'm with y'all with Melo, but I'm concerned with his lack of ability on a lateral movement, quickness movement. Y'all just thinking offensively. Yeah, he can still shoot the ball, but we need defense. No defense, no bueno. Okay, but I think the Knicks will probably sign him. If we get the deal done with Donovan Mitchell and Julius Randle, I think they'll sign him because they'll probably sign him to back up Obi. And I'm excited, but I'm not excited. It's bittersweet because, like I said, he can't play defense. And y'all going to be upset. And I don't want to hear from y'all when the season comes in. Melo's stuck on defense. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, you're going to be a train wreck on defense. And he's going to be, sometimes he's going to win games for us with his shot, but he's going to lose games for us on defense. Okay? So, and Tibbs don't play that. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. But as far as the starting unit with Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, Mitchell-Robinson, and probably Obi Toppin if they trade Randall. If they don't trade Randall, it'll be Randall. If they do trade Randall, it'll be Obi. But we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be pretty good on defense because they scramble. Those two guys, talking about Donovan Mitchell and Brunson, they scramble and they're smart. They have high IQ. They know where they need to be. That's important. Like in the summer league with Farron Hunt said, there were lots of plays where he didn't know where he needed to be on defense. It's a difference between just giving effort and IQ, understanding where you're supposed to be. The NBA game is fast. It moves quickly, and you got to be able to think quickly to know where you want to be. That's why guys like Obi or Kevin Knox struggle in their rookie year because they had to figure that out. The game had to slow down for them because they got caught with their heads being turned left and right. Because you got to know where you at, where the defense is at, how it's rotating. And that's what I like about Jalen Brunson. Last year, I told you, this is Thibodeau expectation for his point guard. Well, really for all 5 players, really for all the players that are going to be in the rotation. He expects you to know who you're going to guard, to know the team that you're playing and what plays they run, to understand the weaknesses and strengths of who you're playing, so that when you're out there and they're running a play, you should recognize it. You should recognize what they're running. You should try to anticipate where you're supposed to be. It's really high level. Jalen Brunson is all that. He's all that. He knows the other team's plays. He's a gym rat. He knows the other team's plays. He knows where he's supposed to be. He may not always have the physical ability like a LeBron to get to where he's supposed to because of his limitations, but he knows where he's supposed to be on defense. He knows when he's supposed to rotate and where. Okay, that's important, very important, man. And so, and that's Julius Randle's problem. His basketball IQ is lower than it needs to be, especially on the defensive end. And he gets lost a lot, even at this late stage in his career, and that's not good. But Obi has learned, and of course, like I said, Brunson, he knows who you playing. He knows what their plays are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. He has studied them. He studies the film. He's like a coach on the floor, Jalen Brunson. And so he's going to be pretty good. I'm saying we're not going to be as bad defensively as people think. I think we're going to be a little better. I can understand the concern being that they are 6'1", both of those guys, but I think they're going to be all right. I think we're going to be all right, And again, if we able to keep Deuce and we're able to keep Grimes coming off the bench and backup roles, defense is going to go up a notch. It's going to go up a notch. So I think we'll be in good shape. So that's what I just wanted to talk about, the defensive concerns, because I know we all had them. And I'm just going to explain why it's not a big a deal. It's not a train wreck on defense, with these two guys. It's not as bad as you think it's going to be. They're going to be all right. I think we'll be cool. All right. And y'all be cool. Have a good Wednesday. Sure.